All right, we're going to start here looking at the NPAPI FireBreath code. This actually is also a very good introduction to how NPAPI works, but specifically we're going to focus on how NPAPI works with FireBreath. So when you create when you instantiate a FireBreath plugin in an NPAPI browser. And we're going to focus on Windows right now. There are some differences between the different platforms, but most of them aren't real significant. So on Windows, there's two primary entry points that are called when first loaded, and then one that's called when we shut down. FireBreath has an NPAPI plugin module class that there is exactly one instance of this that is created at a time for the for all instances of this browser in this shared memory space. And so whenever one of these two is called, we don't care which one's called first. It is a little bit ambiguous, although I think in practice it always happens the same way. We're first going to init plugin module, which means we'll create that instance and we'll store a copy of it in the static pointer. And then we're going to call the correct function. So get entry points is basically asking the plugin. It says, here, I've got these function pointers. When I want to talk to you, I need to call one of them, but I don't know what they should be. So fill them out, please, and give them back. So what that's going to end up calling is in this NPAPI plugin module class. You can see the get plugin funcs here. It's going to just fill out that struct of function pointers with pointers to these static methods on the NPAPI plugin module object. And then similarly, when it calls the np initialize and it gives us np netscape funcs, now these are function pointers that the browser is going to send to us and say, when you need something from me, this is what you call. And so we're going to store those. You can see we're calling this copy np browser function. That's because we have to do this in a few other places where we need to copy that structure. Now, there are different versions of NPAPI, and depending on what version it is, different function pointers may be or may not be present. So we don't want to just do a blind mem copy. So that's implemented here. The copy browser funcs is implemented in this NPAPI types.cpp. You can see here we're basically just doing a direct copy on everything that is always there, and then we start checking the version in the structure to see, does it have, is this a browser that has macOS Cocoa events? If so, then grab these two that won't be there otherwise. And we just check these others. Some of these are just placeholders in case we find things that we do need dealing with those versions. Pop-ups enabled, NP object enumerate. This was added in Firefox 3, I believe, and that's how Firebug, for example, is able to check your NPAPI plugin and see what functions and properties you have. So that's how that works. That's the basic. After these, all of these are set up, then we're going to be able to, then when the browser wants to do something such as create a new plugin, it's going to start calling the functions that we set up here. These ones here. We have new, destroy, set window. Those are kind of generic plugin things, plugin instance related. New stream, destroy stream, stream as file, write ready, write, as well as URL notify are all dealing with browser streams. And there's a chance I may do a video on that. Probably not, though, because that's kind of a specialized one. But new is called when you first instantiate a plugin, and destroy is called when it's done and it's going to get rid of that plugin. So those are really important. We'll talk about them. Set window is called once after the plugin has been created to say this is your drawing information. And get value is called when the browser wants to know something about us, such as our name, description, or, and this is really important to understand, it also calls get value to get the root scripting object. So the get root JS API is called in response to a get value. And then set value, the browser may also call, although I honestly don't think we're using that right now. There's not much that it does that, at least that FireBreath supports. So in the next segment, we're going to talk about these NPP functions. But I'm out of time in this 5 minutes, so we're going to stop there.